Stop wasting time in the gym. If you're a gym goer, stick around. This is going to be the most important exercise lesson of your life. What if there was a method to eat more while also losing fat and gaining muscle strength and endurance all at the same time? And what if all of this could be accomplished just from one workout that takes 40 minutes or less? Well, let me introduce you to the one workout to rule them all. The Husker Power Circuit, the workout made famous by the dominant Nebraska football team. The Husker Power Circuit, aka the Metabolic Circuit, the original metabolic training way before CrossFit, dates all the way back to 1969. And the reason CrossFitters look so jacked is because they push their muscles and cardiac system to their threshold on a regular basis. Now, you can do the same without all of the puking and rhabdomyolysis. The development of the Husker Power Circuit dates back to 1969 when Coach Boyd Epley put Dr. Bill Kramer through a grueling full-body strength circuit similar to a Tabata-style workout. It was at that moment that they felt they were onto something. But after 15 additional years of further research and tweaking from Dr. Kramer, he helped to develop Nebraska's Husker Power Circuit. Kramer's research found that with these circuits, which alternate major muscle groups with various exercises on a fixed time interval, he could optimize the athlete's neuroendocrine response and metabolic adaptations from exercise. Because these circuits use sets of 10 repetitions, the muscles experience adaptations in both strength, hypertrophy, and endurance. And moreover, the full-body continuous circuit approach triggers a physiological response known as peripheral heart action, PHA, a term coined by Dr. Arthur Steinhaus and made popular by bodybuilder Bob Guida in the 1960s. The idea is that when doing a full-body circuit, we are forced to shunt blood up and down the body, therefore taxing the cardiovascular system to a high degree. This is believed to lead to improved metabolic rate, cardiac performance, hormonal release, and fat reduction. The typical circuit is 9 to 10 exercises of alternating body parts with 10 reps per station on a 90-second interval, with the goal of roughly 60 seconds rest between each station. If you have the luxury of free reign at your gym, you can utilize all sorts of equipment like machines and free weights. But if you are restricted in space, you could even try this with dumbbells only. The Huskers classically did this circuit 2 times per week, one day at max effort and the second day later in the week at a lighter effort. To progress on this plan, you could simply start with 1 round and eventually work yourself up to 3 rounds, maybe over the course of 6 weeks. From there, you can aim for continued strength gains within the circuit. Now, I should mention that the effort you put into each exercise will greatly dictate your experience with whether or not this feels like a metabolic conditioning workout. In this particular workout, this was the first time I did it, I actually started the first round with conservative weights. And over the course of each round, I increased the weight for each exercise. And this made a big difference. Round 3 became quite the cardiac experience. Ideally, the circuit will always start with a squat or a leg press, and you should be near your 10 rep max. This effort will greatly dictate how the remaining of your workout goes. Now, if you're not proficient with squatting, then I would recommend the leg press or a variation of the squat that you do feel proficient with. Outside of starting with the squat, I would encourage you to actually play with the order of exercises. The one rule is never work the same muscle group 2 times in a row. But in hindsight, I think I would have structured this personally a little bit differently. For example, in this final round, when I hit my set of squats for 10 at 185 pounds, I was quite gassed. And moving from that exercise straight into bench press forced me to choose a little bit of a lighter weight for my final set of bench press because I did not feel recovered enough to perform a weight that is a little bit more demanding on the central nervous system. I think a better order for me would have been to do the squat than a bicep curl, because the bicep curl doesn't demand much from my central nervous system, and it would have given me more opportunity to recover cardiovascularly. Then perhaps I could have gone into the bench press. So maybe a better way to say it is do a compound lift, then an isolation lift, then a compound lift, then an isolation lift. If you don't know what that is, drop me a line in the comments or message me personally, and I'd love to explain. Now, some other thoughts I've had in hindsight is that I believe I can mix up this circuit in many different ways. For example, the Huskers, they do a lighter day, and I think on that lighter day, I would use shorter time frames, which is a great benefit because who doesn't value their time? I think perhaps maybe a 1 minute interval where you just get 30 seconds of rest. Since the weights are lighter, you ought to recover better and perhaps maybe have a better cardiovascular response, much like a traditional CrossFit workout. I think this would also be great to do more sort of functional, tactical type training where we're incorporating sled pushes, prowler pulls, sandbag carries, farmer carries, rope climbs, rope pulls, jumping rope, maybe some erg machines like rowers or bicycles or ski. I think there's a lot of potential here. And if you had about maybe 3 to 4 different variations on this circuit, you could keep things fairly fresh and cycle through that with really good progress. Because these are full body circuits, you should take a couple days between each circuit, and perhaps just 2 days a week is enough for some people. But if you're like me, this just leaves more time to do the things I like. I'm training for a triathlon. I could spend the rest of my training days running, biking, and swimming. Maybe you have a sport that you'd love to train for, or maybe you just have a family life or a demanding work life, and this frees up more time for you. I'd also like to comment a bit on nutrition, because if you're trying to lose weight and you're only exercising 2 days a week, that means 5 out of the 7 days a week, you can actually keep your calories pretty low. And I've found that it's easier to keep calories low to restrict what I'm eating on days that I don't exercise. And then you could use these 2 days as refueling days, or even do carb cycling. Maybe you do ketogenic diet 5 days a week, and on these big circuit days, you can go ahead and add in more calories with carbohydrates to get the best training response possible and keep things interesting for your diet. So yeah, I think it's amazing that all the way back to 1969 and the 70s, people really had exercise figured out pretty good. And I've seen much worse on the internet, kind of like this guy who's putting lemon juice in his hair every single day trying to get abs. So yeah, beware what you listen to out there on the internet and give this workout a try.